How's it going, everyone? My name is Kasperanza, and in this video, we are going to be talking about Pluto in Aquarius, um, and what Pluto in Aquarius will be like for the next 20 years, because Pluto entered Aquarius in November last year, and it will stay in Aquarius until 2044. So we have pretty much 20 years of Pluto and Aquarius. And whenever outside planet like Pluto changes a sign, it's a big deal. There's a lot to talk about, there's a lot to learn, there's a lot of information. And I am so excited to talk about this and to share it with you. I did make a video like this a long time ago. Well, not super long. It was like about a year ago, but I rambled too much. I added too many unnecessary points. There were many other points that I missed, and I picked up a lot of new information that goes along with Pluto and Aquarius. So, yeah, and I decided to do this on Inauguration Day because the sun is exactly conjunct Pluto right now. So if you think about the sun is the planet. I mean, in astrology, it's like a planet. It's the planet of illumination. It reveals, it shows the true nature of things. So with it conjunct Pluto, I think we can get a really good sense of what Pluto and Aquarius will be like. Yeah, so Trump did take the presidency, and I predicted that. I knew he would become president with astrology. And I think it's very interesting that Donald Trump is wearing a purple tie. If you look really closely, he's wearing a purple tie. JD Vance is wearing a red tie. Purple is the color of royalty, so he really does feel like a king in a lot of ways. I saw a tweet from Elon Musk that the king returns, which I found kind of funny. But it's very true. I feel like Donald Trump is a king, and it's going to play a lot into Pluto in Aquarius, as I will talk about it. In the video, you should jump forward if you want to get to Pluto and Aquarius, but I just got to talk about Donald Trump taking the presidency to talk about like my prediction. So in my prediction, I was right. I was totally like Donald Trump won. He won by quite a bit actually, and it was pretty easy to tell, especially with Elon Musk joining up with Trump and JD Vance also having his ascendant conjunct Regulus. But towards the end of the video, I started talking about Trump's sentencing, and I pretty much got that wrong. I thought Trump wasn't going to be there for Inauguration Day because I really thought he was going to be sentenced and put in jail or at least paying a fine. Because if you look at Trump's chart, his eighth house, right, this is his eighth house, even though in the chart it says like his seventh house, this is his eighth house. And because I use whole sign house system, and there are so many planets in Pisces right now. So if you look at the current astrology, there is Saturn, Venus, Neptune, the North Node. So Trump's eighth house, which is the house of debts, the house of paying, the house of death, I just felt like Trump wasn't in a very good position. And on top of that, if you look at Trump's 12th house with Cancer, he has Saturn and Venus there, and Mars currently is activating his Saturn and Venus. So I just thought that, and the 12th house is the house of prisons, it's the house of hospitals, it's the house of isolation. So I really thought Trump was probably going to go to prison. But instead, all of the fines were dropped. And I guess that's to be expected because he is going to be the president. And so I guess I just want to defend myself and defend like the astrology, because it's like, oh, you predicted this, but you were totally wrong. Well, the astrology still matches with what's happening, right? So like, if Trump wasn't going to be the president, he would have gone to jail. He would have had to pay a fine. He would have been punished in some way. So he got really, really lucky. And the astrology explains this, right? Because Jupiter is in Gemini right now. So Jupiter is getting him a lot of luck and a lot of opportunity. And then on top of it, Uranus is conjunct his midheaven, and Uranus throws things for a loop, right? So you get sudden opportunity and sudden loss, sudden gains, sudden losses. And so Uranus, and I said this in my other astrology videos, that Uranus is going to keep, there's going to be this sense of like, is he going to be the president or not the president? Is he going to be able to work as the president or not? Because I think it's because Uranus is on his midheaven, and it's making it really confusing. And it's also very strange. Uranus is all about things being different or things being out of the ordinary. And if you look at Trump's presidency right now, it is very much out of the ordinary. It's 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 like he should have been punished, but he wasn't. And so I think Uranus really plays into this, and Jupiter is benefiting that. The other thing is that Venus rules over his midheaven. And so even though you could say Mars entering his 12th house and making a conjunction to Saturn and Venus, because again, Mars is at 24 degrees of Cancer right now, and it's also retrograde, which is really bad. And can I just say something about Mars and Cancer? I remember Joni Petrie saying that a lot of homes were going to be destroyed. A lot of families were going to be broken apart because Cancer is the sign of the home. Even though she's a Vedic astrologer, I think Mars is, it's very much in Cancer in Vedic astrology right now. Or it's barely in Cancer. Either way, I use both zodiac systems, but you know, Mars is the planet of violence. It's the planet of anger and aggression and even destruction. So, and Cancer is the house of home. It's the house of mothers. It's the house of being safe. And so when Mars comes here, there's lots of violence around the home. And so I think that really explains the California fires in Los Angeles, all of those homes getting destroyed. That's what that Mars was doing. And so I thought that was really amazing when Joni Petrie predicted that. I mean, I really like Joni Petrie because I've been following her, and a lot of the things that she said have been really spot on. It's just pretty amazing. So she also predicted Trump would be the president. Anyway, Mars is activating Trump's Venus, and Venus rules over his 10th house of career, and it's his midheaven. So instead of Mars being a bad thing, you could also think of Mars as kind of giving him strength. I remember after watching the inauguration, well, I didn't actually really watch it, but I just heard a lot of people saying that Trump was going to sign a bunch of bills or something to start really changing things up. And I think it's because Mars is on his Venus. Like, he's already like, let's go. Like, let's get this, let's start doing change. Let's start getting things right. Because Mars, not only is it very aggressive, but it likes to move quickly. And so, yeah. So I think that's what the Mars in the 12th house actually means for Trump. Or looking back on it, the astrology still makes sense. Or, yeah. Even though I was wrong. But I did predict he would be president, and I'm really proud of myself for that. Because a lot of astrologers didn't. Okay, so going back to Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, this is really significant because, as I'll talk about later, Aquarius represents the people. It also represents democracy and equality for everyone. And then the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, and Leo is the king. Leo is the leader. Leo is the ruler. So there's this constant opposition between these signs. Like, should we favor the ruler or favor the people? Do the people come first, or does the ruler come first? And you kind of need them both. You need a ruler and you need the people. And so with Pluto and Aquarius, I really think what's going to come into question is our rulership, the people in charge. And with the Sun conjunct Pluto and with Trump taking office, I think it's very revealing of our government situation right now, because Elon Musk has been very close to Donald Trump, and we know that because Elon Musk's Venus is conjunct Trump's sun, right? And there's a bunch of other oligarchs who are close to Trump or are siding with Trump, like Mark Zuckerberg, I think even Bill Gates, right? So all of these really rich people are kind of jumping onto the Trump bandwagon, and um, they're starting to really like do things and like take control and influence things. And all of these people are super wealthy. And you could say, with Sun conjunct Pluto, we have a plutocracy. We literally have a plutocracy. And a plutocracy means rulership by the wealthy. The wealthy people own us. And I think Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius is basically saying, like, hey, you're being ruled by all these wealthy people. Look how obvious this is. Because in the past, I don't think it was so obvious. I mean, the rich and the wealthy have always ruled over the people. That's just always been the case. But I think with Trump taking office, especially wearing the purple tie, really showing off how regulus he is, and then with Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, I think it's really highlighting or showing us like, sorry, I thought I heard something, but it's really showing us like there's rich people own us. The top like 10 richest people in the world own more than like the bottom 50% of people. So I really think that is going to be questioned. I really think this is going to come into play. Or at least it's becoming obvious. Like, we are ruled by oligarchs. And I also think with Trump taking the presidency on Inauguration Day and Sun conjunct Pluto, I think we're seeing a real transformation here. I think it's revealing a lot. I think, um, Joni Petrie also said that, like, the sun represents the ruler and Pluto represents death and transformation. So I think Trump taking office suggests like a real change in leadership. Also, because Pluto is about what's hidden, Pluto is about what's beneath. Elon Musk is often seen as the shadow president. So what does this mean? It means more like Elon Musk got elected to the presidency. Oligarchs got elected to the presidency, not necessarily Donald Trump. Donald Trump is more of like a figurehead or just kind of like the king, but everyone knows that the king isn't really what's in control. It's the people who can manipulate the king to their advantage. Those are the people that are in control. So there's like a strong like power thing going on. I said this in my Trump video that since Jupiter is going to go all across Trump's top left half of his chart, I think Trump is actually going to do well, or he's going to be favored because Jupiter is on his side. Jupiter is giving him luck and opportunity. But yeah, I think we're seeing a real change in leadership. Like, there's something about it that feels right, because the sun is highlighting Pluto, and Pluto is about transformation, and it's just really showing us like things are going to change, things are going to be different. So I think I talked about everything I needed to for the Trump presidency. Now let's talk about specifically Pluto and Aquarius. Let's get into the meat of it. I've been talking for 15 minutes without actually talking about Pluto and Aquarius, but like I said, the reason why I talked about it for so much is because I think Pluto in Aquarius with the sun here on Inauguration Day is really going to show us what Pluto in Aquarius is about, especially with the TikTok ban. It was kind of funny. I heard Chris Brennan point this out, that as the sun was approaching Pluto, a lot of people were getting worried about TikTok getting banned. And I think Trump actually uplifted the ban, which was pretty crazy. Like, it was like that. But this is very important because TikTok is social media. TikTok is technology. And I think Pluto and Aquarius is going to have a lot to do with technology. Like, who gets to control the technology? Who gets to use the technology? Why are we using the technology? Why should someone be able to tell you what technology you can and can't use? So we're going to have a lot of those themes. and I'll explain it even more later in the video. So there's this really great video by Ted Ed. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff out there, but it's a very short video that talks about Prometheus. Prometheus is a titan that brought humanity fire, and because of that, he was punished by the gods for eternity. Aquarius is very similar to Prometheus. I mean, they are pretty much the same thing. So Aquarius brought humanity water, and water represents knowledge. Aquarius is also a very highly intelligent sign, almost kind of intuitive. Aquarius is the sign that has that third eye, or I would say rules over the third eye. And Prometheus is very, very similar, because Prometheus in ancient Greece, what that word meant was foresight. And Prometheus brought humanity fire, which is very similar to Aquarius bringing humanity water. So these are pretty much the same archetypes. It's the same story, it's the same symbol. Aquarius and Prometheus are the same thing. So you should really learn about the Prometheus story. You should really try to understand it, because if you understand this, all you need to do is apply Pluto to Prometheus and you'll understand what Pluto and Aquarius means. You'll get it. It'll be really easy. So Aquarius represents democracy, humanity, the people, technology, bringing humanity fire. Aquarius is also the adversary. Aquarius is on the outside of society, right? Because Aquarius is opposite of Leo. So right? So Leo is the king, right? Leo is the center. Leo is the heart. Leo is also fixed fire. You could say when Prometheus brought humanity fire, he was like taking away the leadership from the gods and giving it to human beings. So Leo is the fixed flame. He's the heart. He's the center. He is the ruler. He is the king. He's like Donald Trump. And so that's the opposition that you need to keep in mind. And Pluto coming into Aquarius is really going to activate this. It's really going to question our democracy, our leadership, our equality as human beings. And what's very, very interesting. So the last time when Pluto was in Aquarius in the 1700s. It was from if you look at the Industrial Revolution from 1760 to 1840, Pluto was in Aquarius during that period of time. And also, many revolutions took place in the 1700s. So 1775 to 1783, we got the American Revolution. We got the French Revolution from 1789 to 1799. And then we had the Industrial Revolution, which happened from 1760 to 1840. So let's go in the astrology program. America declares its independence in 1776 when Pluto is at the very end of Capricorn. And a few years later in 1779, Pluto enters Aquarius. And 1779 is like at the heart of the Industrial Revolution, right? So like 1780 is 20 years well into the Industrial Revolution. So you could say this cycle is happening again, like with the AI that we already have, and like the iPhone, like I'm using an iPhone to record, and Apple. Well, we've already started our Industrial Revolution in the modern day, but we're not even at the heart of it yet, because the heart of the Industrial Revolution was 1800. So let's go to 1800. In the 1800s, that's when Pluto moves into Pisces. So Pluto in Aquarius is like that. This is where like all of the technology starts to change. It's when everyone starts to question technology. And I think by the time Pluto enters Pisces, I think that's when we'll finally have a hold on the technology and understand what technology is like in our world and in our place. Anyway, so like all of these revolutions happened like before the 1800s though. Like very early, so like 1775. So this was like in Capricorn almost. But the French Revolution happened in 1789 and 1799, which was basically like when Pluto was in the heart of Aquarius. So what am I trying to say here? I'm saying that if a revolution is going to happen, right? Because I mean, the rich and the wealthy are very, very rich, and I think, and it's very clear that we have an oligarchy. So I feel like a lot of people, if a revolution is going to happen, let's jump forward. If a revolution is going to happen, I think 2030 we'll start to see inklings of a revolution or a possible revolution actually happening. Because I feel like if a revolution is going to happen, if a revolution needs to happen, it's going to happen in 2030. If the people want it, if people want a revolution, who knows? It's hard to say, but I feel like this is when we'll start to get a revolution. And like the overthrow of the Leo kings. And then I also think we're going to have a real industrial revolution with AI technology. I mean, we're already seeing it. But I think by the time we get to 2030 and 2040, we're going to have I think we're going to have another industrial revolution. It'll just be like this one from 1760 to 1840. So, I mean, the cycle is happening again. And also was really interesting, the planet Uranus was discovered in 1781 when Pluto was in Aquarius. And Uranus is very, very similar to Aquarius. In modern astrology, Uranus rules over the sign Aquarius. So I think that's important. I think that's significant. It's also interesting because Donald Trump has his sun conjunct Uranus. So it's almost like Donald Trump is carrying this Leo energy and this Aquarian energy forward in himself. Like he has both of them combined in a lot of ways. It's like, is he for the people or not for the people? So I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting. Aquarius and Prometheus are basically the same. And another symbol or another archetype that Aquarius and Prometheus are very similar to is Satan or the devil or Lucifer, right? Lucifer was the angel that was thrown out of heaven. And Lucifer in many ways represents the Enlightenment. Lucifer represents free thinking. It represents rebellion. And there was a whole movement in the 1800s called the Romantic Satanists. And the Romantic Satanists, many of them had their Pluto in Aquarius. So a lot of their writings and a lot of their poetry really captures the energy and the feeling of what Pluto in Aquarius is about. And this is why I'm so excited about Pluto in Aquarius, because I would actually consider myself a Satanist. I mean, as you can tell, I got my devil wings, and I'm very much aligned with objectivism, which is a very satanic philosophy. And it's not Satanism like worshiping Satan. It's Satanism in the sense that Satan represents a symbol of rebellion and free thought and free thinking, very similar to Prometheus, stealing fire from the gods. That's what Satan represents for the Romantic Satanists. And why they're so significant, because they have Pluto in Aquarius, and I'm going to go over their charts in a second. But what inspired the Romantic Satanists was John Milton's Paradise Lost, which was an epic poem about Satan being thrown out of hell, and it was from the perspective of Satan. And this poem heavily inspired the Romantic Satanists who have their Pluto in Aquarius. Oh yeah, here's some pictures of Prometheus, right? Yeah, so we got Prometheus was punished where a vulture would eat his liver every day, and then his liver would grow back, and then the vulture would eat it. So he was tortured forever and ever. And it's very similar to Satan, where Satan was thrown out of heaven. He was basically eternally punished by God, but Satan never gave up. Satan still right, he never regretted his decision to leave heaven or to get thrown out of heaven. Like, he still maintained that opposition. So again, you really see that Leo Aquarius dynamic in these stories, and this is why it's so important to understand them. Yeah, so there's three romantic Satanists that I want to talk about that are significant. And the first one is Percy Shelley, who was he was a romantic Satanist and a poet, and he has his Pluto in Aquarius, and he was a Satanist. And what's really interesting is he has the Sun, Venus, and Uranus in Leo, making an opposition to Pluto. So he really understands this. He feels this dynamic between Leo and Aquarius. Another person I want to talk about is Mary Shelley. So I think Mary Shelley is the most significant when it comes to learning about Pluto and Aquarius, because she wrote the novel Frankenstein, subtitled The Modern Prometheus. And I think she's very important because her midheaven is exactly conjunct Pluto and Aquarius at 29 degrees. And the midheaven in astrology, I'm starting to learn, is that if you really want to know what someone is about, if you really want a clear message of someone astrologically, look at their midheaven. Look at the transits to their midheaven. Look at the sign of their midheaven. Look at the planets natally conjunct their midheaven, and you'll get a really good sense of what this person is about and what this person can show you. Because the midheaven, in many ways, is kind of like, it's what you have to offer to the world. It's what makes you important in the world. And Mary Shelley has Pluto and Aquarius conjunct her midheaven, and we can see this energy play out in her book Frankenstein. And so there's this really great article by this satanic scholar, and he talks about how Mary Shelley is very satanic with her book Frankenstein. And the reason why I bring up Frankenstein is because, what is Frankenstein? Frankenstein is this monster that was created by the scientist who acquired this occult knowledge. He acquired this, right? He created this like new technology, or this new. He was able to create a living thing by sewing or scrapping up a bunch of dead bodies together, like a bunch of legs, or like 2 legs and 2 arms, and like put them together, and he was able to revive a person, right, with this knowledge. And Mary Shelley is asking us to question if this is a good idea. When we learn something new, when we create a new technology, are we being responsible with it? Are we being a benevolent creator? Because again, we're seeing more of this Leo Aquarius dynamic with Mary Shelley. Because, right, Leo is a very creative sign. Leo is about creativity. Leo is about expressing oneself. Leo is about ego and having fun. And Aquarius is very much about knowledge and science and rationality and discovering new things. And so when you put these signs together, it has a lot to do with being a creative person. It's about creativity. And Leo, in many ways, represents the gods. It represents the god, or the ruler, and Aquarius represents the adversary, or the rebellion against the god. And so in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the monster rebels against his creator because his creator was irresponsible. It's like a rebellion against God. Frankenstein's monster is very similar to Satan. He's very similar to Aquarius in a lot of ways, where he rebels against God. But at the same time, the scientist, Victor Frankenstein, who created the monster, he's also very Aquarian himself because he created a new life form with this new knowledge that he discovered. So when we talk about Pluto and Aquarius, and with all of these revolutions, right? So we're going to see a rebellion against our gods, our rulers, and we're also going to see a revolution in technology. And we've already seen this with AI technology. And we need to think deeply about AI technology and what we're doing with it. What are we going to create with it? What kind of Frankenstein monsters could come out of AI technology? And it's very similar to Frankenstein, right? Because what does AI technology do? It scours the internet, it scours a bunch of, you could say a bunch of dead articles, dead artworks, dead paintings, and it mashes it together to create this new thing, to give life to this new thing, right? And when it does this, when we give life to these new creations that AI discovers, what will we do when we discover these new creations? What happened after Victor Frankenstein created the monster, right? And it wasn't really a monster, it was how he reacted to it. He fled. He ran away from his own creation, right? So, like, that's him. He's, like, terrified by what he created. He's about to run away. And when he runs away, his creation, his monster was left all alone. And what's very interesting is that this monster discovered Paradise Lost, which is the poem written by John Milton. And and then the monster does a bunch of terrible things because the creator didn't take the time to invest in his creation. He didn't take the time to learn about it, to care about it. He didn't think through it, right? He didn't have the foresight like an Aquarius should. He didn't have the foresight to see what his creation was going to do. This is why with AI technology and these revolutions in technology, we need to really think about what it is that we're doing. And on a side note, I would like to bring into question the idea of transgenderism. I'm not saying like I'm against trans people. I fully support them. I'm all in favor of helping them get to whatever they need to do to be happy. But when you see a lot of these surgeries taking place on very young people, even children, right? You see these scientists, these doctors who claim to be able to manipulate these human bodies to be the other sex, right? And so these trans people, they go through these surgeries, and when they come out of it, I'm not entirely sure that surgery was very good. And I feel like it leaves them in a bad place. Now, again, I'm not saying like I'm against this, but I'm just saying like when you have people who do these surgeries on you that are really new, right? There's a kind of god complex with it. Aquarius has a lot to do with being a god. So does Leo, right? There's a big god complex with these signs. And I think Pluto and Aquarius is really going to bring into question these surgeries and these transitions and how trans people are going to better navigate the social world. And what's very, very interesting is that Prometheus, the other thing about Prometheus is that he was responsible for creating human beings, and he created human beings out of clay. What is clay? Clay is this very malleable, manipulative substance. It's mutable, it's changeable. And so when Prometheus makes human beings out of clay, it suggests that human beings are malleable. It suggests that when we create and invent technology, not only does it liberate humanity and give rise to revolutions, right? Because what makes revolutions possible? What makes it possible to revolt? Well, you need knowledge, you need information, you need books. This is why Aquarius is the great liberator and why Aquarius is so smart, because Aquarius gives humanity knowledge and that's what fire represents. Fire represents enlightenment. It represents being enlightened. So, when we get this new knowledge, as human beings, we're able to we become gods ourselves in a lot of ways. We become malleable. We can change our own bodies. We can change our sex. We can change our gender. But it does raise the question, because what is Pluto about? And what's so fascinating about Pluto as well, Pluto represents things underground. It represents what's hidden. It represents what's underneath. And Aquarius is on the outskirts. So if Leo is the center, Aquarius is at the end. It's on the outside of society. Because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and so is Capricorn. Capricorn and Aquarius, let's go to it. Capricorn and Aquarius are right next to each other, right? And they're the opposite of Leo and Cancer. Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun is the center of the solar system. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is the closest to Earth. But Aquarius and Capricorn are ruled by Saturn. They're at the very end. Saturn is the last planet that can be seen from the naked eye. So it represents being at the end. It represents the adversary, right? It represents Satan, who was thrown out from heaven, right? He's at the very end. He's marginalized. He's not the center. He's on the margin. So when Pluto comes into Aquarius, it's going to raise a lot of questions on marginalized people and the transformation of being marginalized. And it's going to, it's just going to expose a lot of things. It's going to expose a lot of things that are hidden, things that are really far away. Because, even Pluto itself. Pluto is the planet furthest from the sun, and wasn't even considered a planet because it was so small and so far away. That's why Pluto represents shadows and things hidden underneath. And so Pluto is going to make a lot of things that are secret public. It's going to expose a lot of things. It's going to show us the real, I feel like these trans surgeries in a lot of ways are the elephant in the room. I feel like transgender people, I feel like we're going to need to get clear on this. Can human beings really change their sex? Are human beings malleable? Should human beings be malleable? Right? Because when we get more of this technology, when we get robots, Chris Brennan made this very interesting point that when Pluto entered Aquarius, the very first day, that's when Tesla revealed its robots. And so by the end of Pluto and Aquarius, we'll have these robots among us. What is the difference between a robot and a human being? What happens when a robot becomes very similar to a human being? Should robotics and prosthetics be combined with human beings? And to what degree should they be combined? Right? When we start replacing ourselves, it's very interesting. You know how when Darth Vader got his limbs cut off by Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, and when he rose from the ashes as Darth Vader and he had all these prosthetic limbs, and he was like a Frankenstein monster. He was reconstructed as this kind of creature who lost his humanity. Was he even really a person at that point? Because that's like Pluto and Aquarius in a lot of ways. Pluto and Leo. This phoenix rising from the ashes and rises with technology. And it's very similar to General Grievous, who was a precursor to Darth Vader. When you get a bunch of parts of yourself replaced, are you still human? What makes you human? And Aquarius is all about humanity, right? And Pluto is about exposing humanity and learning and getting deeper. What does it mean to be human? So these are the questions. This is what Pluto and Aquarius will be about. And this is why it's so fascinating and so interesting to me. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah. Pluto and Aquarius also has a lot to do, like I said, exposing hidden information. So Marin Altman pointed this out. She said that we're going to have a kind of techno-state control, because Pluto is power and control. Aquarius is technology. When Pluto comes here, people will have control over technology. They will have power over you with technology. You could say even power itself is power. Social media is power. And when you have this all-powerful state that controls everyone and connects everyone online with technology, right, it makes the state very, very powerful. But at the same time, it liberates the people, right? Because when Pluto comes into Aquarius, suddenly there's a lot of power in technology. And what we do with this technology is significant and really important. We really need to think about what we're going to do with this technology. As I keep saying over and over again, I know it's kind of annoying, but this is what the astrology is telling us. I think there's going to be a rebirth in Satanism, because I think Satan is, and this is why I consider myself a Satanist. I'm going to talk more about Satanism on my channel because these are the questions that are important. There this is a new cycle happening. This is happening again. A lot of things that were secret are now going to be public, right? Because everything is documented now with technology. Everyone has access to a camera. Everyone has access to the internet. So everyone knows everything, and it's very similar to the Eye of Sauron. I made this connection in one of my essays a long time ago, or 2 years ago. I talked about how the Eye of Sauron was very similar to social media, because the Eye of Sauron is like this creepy eye, this all-powerful eye that can look anywhere it wants, and it can like look into your soul and like take control. And it really makes us wonder, do we really want that kind of power? Do we really want an all-powerful state that is able to see us doing whatever it is that we want? There's actually a very like the Eye of Sauron is actually associated with something in real life. Let me pull it up. If you actually look, so I pulled up a picture. The Eye of Sauron is very similar to the Panopticon, which is it's basically censorship without being censored. So in the center, you have like this Eye of Sauron thing, and all of the prisoners are circled around it. You actually see this with an eye right here. I mean, Tolkien is kind of a genius because he was able, he pointed out the Panopticon before, like, I think Michel Foucault started to talk about it. I mean, we see Michel Foucault talking about it. So all of these prisoners are circled around this, but all of the prisoners have to act as though they're not being, like, they can't do anything bad. They always have to act as if the eye is watching them. They always have to act as if they're under surveillance, even though they couldn't be. Not always, because the eye, it can only look in so many different directions, but because it can look in any direction, you can't take a risk and just do something bad. You always have to be in alignment with the rules. So that's something that I think Marin Altman was getting to with when she pointed out how we're going to have this all-powerful state, this technocracy with technology, like techno control. And I think it's kind of funny too, because Pluto looks like the Eye of Sauron, right? And if it's going to come into Aquarius, it's like the people become the rulers. It's like people start controlling other people. People will limit themselves because everyone is looking at everyone now. Everyone sees what everyone else is doing. Everyone has power. Everyone does. It's not just Leo anymore, right? Because with Pluto and Aquarius, it's like everyone is liberated. Everyone can use technology, which means everyone can use technology against everyone. So that's something we have to be careful of, and that's what Pluto and Aquarius is about. Read the book Frankenstein. I'm going to read it a bunch of times in the future. And what's really cool about Mary Shelley's chart is that she has the stellium in Virgo in the third house. I use whole sign house system, so Cancer, Leo, Virgo, that's the third house. The third house is the house of writing and communication. She has a stellium there. She has Mercury in Virgo. I mean, Virgo is the writing sign. Like, you can just tell Mary Shelley would be just a phenomenal writer. Like, she has the chart of a writer. It's so cool to see that. And then she has this Pluto and Aquarius on her MC. Like, of course she would write Frankenstein. I mean, that's like the perfect, of course. Of course. Okay. So that's Mary Shelley. The next person I want to talk about is Lord Byron. He's another romantic Satanist with his Pluto and Aquarius. He has Saturn and Venus conjunct his MC, but Saturn rules over Aquarius and is conjunct his MC. So this Pluto and Aquarius, I think, is still being channeled. He also has the Sun in Aquarius. And what's really funny is that I think, if I remember, Lord Byron was kind of seen as a Satanist, like, without meaning to. Like, he was very provocative and he was very adversarial, like Satan himself. And this is very typical of Aquarians. Aquarians, I mean, I wish my sign was Aquarius, to be quite honest with you. My sign is actually Leo, ironically. Well, my sun is in Leo. But and I don't know, maybe that's why I like Aquarians so much, because Aquarius balances out my Leo energy, or provides a great positive opposition to it. But anyway, and also Ayn Rand, who created the philosophy of objectivism. Objectivism is a very satanic philosophy. Ayn Rand was an Aquarius. So, I mean, it's just kind of cool to see that. How he has the stellium in Aquarius, and he was a poet of romantic Satanism. He really captures that spirit. And so I mean, I like I said already, like read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, but read the poetry by Lord Byron. Read the poetry of Percy Shelley, who was the husband of Mary Shelley. Read John Milton's Paradise Lost, because these have very Pluto and Aquarius themes, in my opinion. Or they really get to a lot of what Pluto and Aquarius is about. Um, and I think that's pretty much it. I think the last thing I will say is that there has been some talk about aliens lately. And I think it's because if you think about Aquarius, Aquarius also likes to look up to the sky a lot. Aquarius is very like Aquarius in many ways is the astronomer. It's the dreamer scientist. It's the scientist who likes to dream. And Aquarius likes to look up to the sky, and with Pluto there, Pluto is going to reveal things in the sky. It's going to reveal extraterrestrials. It's going to have us look at aliens. Like, I feel like if aliens are going to be a thing, if aliens are a thing, I feel like aliens will reveal themselves when Pluto is in Aquarius. Or, I mean, it's the time. This is the time. I mean, maybe Pluto and Pisces, because Pisces is even bigger than Aquarius. Aquarius looks to the stars. Pisces is the stars. Pisces is the ocean. Pisces is everything. So, but by the time Pluto is in Pisces, we will have gotten technology under control by then. But before that, I mean, as long as Pluto is in Aquarius, we're going to be dealing with Frankenstein monsters, and the key is to not be afraid of these monsters. The key is to not run away in fear. The key is to become more knowledgeable, to think more deeply about it, to learn how to have the foresight to see what these creations will do. And yeah, I think I talked long enough. I think I rambled long enough, but I had to talk about this because it's so fascinating and it's so important, really exciting to see um, with the astrology. And I'll see you later.